In 2018, over 100,000 people were hospitalized due to water-related illnesses in Basra, in the south of Iraq. As a result, hundreds of protesters stormed the Basra Health Directorate to demand better health services. This civilian protest highlights the explanatory power of water in peace, stability, and conflict analysis. My name is Irina Patrahau, and I'm a strategic analyst at the Hague Centre for Strategic Studies. In this video, I will discuss the role of water in conflict analysis based on the case study of Iraq. Today, Iraq is one of the most water-scarce countries in the world. The Tigris-Euphrates River Basin provides 98% of the country's water supply, but it is increasingly strained. As Iraq is the most downstream country of the Tigris-Euphrates River Basin, its water supply is impacted by countries upstream through the construction of dams and other infrastructure projects. Moreover, the impacts of climate change on precipitation patterns, temperatures, and extreme weather events are more and more noticeable in Iraq. Together with challenging social, political, and economic factors, this has impacted freshwater availability. Since the 1980s, Iraq's water supply has decreased by 30%. The water situation is exacerbated by mismanagement of previous Iraqi governments who have prioritized military spending over serious investments in water infrastructure and management. Iraq's decreasing water supply negatively impacts water security and could cause instability and conflict. Within the Water, Peace and Security Partnership, we implemented the first steps of a water-related conflict analysis in Iraq, specifically focusing on the southern provinces. As a starting point, we developed an analytical framework that defines the nexus between the water situation, understood as water quality and water quantity, and security. This framework looks at stressors and coping mechanisms. Stressors are the structural factors and choices made by different actors that may influence water quality and quantity. Examples include poor and neglected infrastructure or the weak implementation of regulatory frameworks. Such changes in water quality or water quantity affect human well-being, prompting so-called coping mechanisms. These are people's responses to a water situation. Coping mechanisms may alleviate the impact of the water situation on individuals in the short term, but they may also have negative consequences for the water and security situation of communities. Think of illegal water tapping or migration. The interaction between stressors and coping mechanisms can lead to conflict, which we define as the consequence of incompatible or perceived incompatible goals between two or more parties. Conflict can have various forms beyond violent clashes, such as peaceful protests or discriminatory practices. Now let's go back to Basra to see how water challenges can lead to conflict. In 2018, Basra witnessed large-scale contamination and over 118,000 people were hospitalized due to water pollution. Basra residents protested in large numbers against poor service provision and political corruption. Violent crackdowns by federal and provincial authorities on protesters left 9 dead and hundreds injured. In this case, some of the stressors influencing quantity and quality of water were insufficient wastewater treatment capacity, outdated water infrastructure, the increase in pollution and salinity due to a reduced water flow to the Shatt el Arab from rivers upstream, and the inadequate implementation of regulatory frameworks, for instance prohibiting the dumping of untreated water. This all ultimately resulted in unsafe tap water. To manage and mitigate the impacts of the water emergency in Basra, people responded in different ways. The community's three primary coping mechanisms were illegal water tapping, as over 300,000 residents in Basra are not connected to the water and sewage network, purchasing bottled water, which on the long term is unsustainable, both financially and environmentally, by leading to plastic waste and pollution, and lastly, civilian protests, a form of conflict and insecurity. The water conflict nexus highlights the dynamic interactions between water quality and quantity, stressors, and coping mechanisms. The path from a specific water situation to conflict is complex and nuanced, but such analytical frameworks can help grasp the complexity. As the case of the public health crisis in Basra shows, water insecurity can be a catalyst of conflict.